being on the recording, just turn off your camera, and you know, but otherwise just keep your camera on if you want to, or off, whatever you're comfortable with. And I'm just gonna kick off. So welcome. First time we've done this, so our school sports webinar. Just a little bit about me at Sports Structures. So there's me on the picture. So Jo Pilgrim, I'm Director of Development. So I head up our commercial offer and also our consultancy department. So we work right across community sports, often working with leadership and governance or strategy, but also really working with coaches and education and training. So that's a little bit about me. Not always the expert in everything, so really happy to learn from you on the call. This won't just be me chatting to you. Hopefully I'll get something back. So Jobeth, if you can just introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah. Hi there, everyone. I'm a consultant. I work with Jo on education and also consultancy. I write a lot of programs for our multi-skills, our learning content, and our coaching programs, having been a full-time coach like Jo in the past and used to work in PE and school sport as well, although a different lifetime ago. Exactly the same as Jo. I don't have the answers to everything. I'm here to learn off people as well, and I will be mostly, getting the slides to go on, essentially. But there we are. That's me. So welcome, everyone.
Perfect. So Jobeth's running the slide deck, but also keeping an eye out on the meeting chat. So, okay, let me kick off then. So, game plan, that's what we're calling our kind of offer that we've not put together. We've been doing this a long time within Sports Structures, but we just have revamped a little bit of some of our products to really look at where do we fit within the market around school sport. I've heard from a couple of you already that, you know, you're running coaches who are going into the schools, who are working within sometimes the curriculum environment as well as the out of school hours. So our role, I think, here is to just support that and make sure that we've got the skills in our network to be able to go in and do really good, high quality activity. So that's called our offer game plan. So really looking at how do we help future-proof school sport? How do we really ensure that it's high quality? So I picked out a couple of stats from recently. So the ambition from the Department for Education is that every child gets 2 hours of high quality physical education within the school. We know, and you know, that some of that is delivered by teachers and some of that is delivered by coaches, but the ambition is it's got to be really high quality. We know as well that less than 50% of our children are doing an average of the 60 minutes a day that the Chief Medical Officer has suggested that they should do, not suggested, more than suggested, would like them to do to stay fit and healthy. And we also know that nearly 30% of them are actually doing less than an average of 30. So there's a really big discrepancy around that, the amount of activity that each young person is doing. We know from our Active Lives data and other data sets that there are real disparities in access. And as all of you, I would imagine, know, Sport England very much involved with looking at who isn't participating. You know, how do we get to those people? How do we break down those barriers so that we get our young people all really involved? So the disparities in the access, lower socioeconomic background, and girls and those with SEND and those from ethnically diverse backgrounds are less likely to be active. So we know that we've got to really, you know, work hard to get into those young people. We know it goes beyond PE, so that physical education and making sure that it's high quality within curriculum, really important, but we know that the wider opportunities that are available to children to be active also need to really look at how they're delivering, how they're getting rid of some of those barriers, and how we're going to make sure that we get our nation of young people really fit and active and healthy. So that's where we think this fits. So game plan is going to support the networks that are addressing this. So people like you who are involved in working with school children in lots of different guises, how do we ensure that you've got those skills and you've got the resources to be able to do a really cracking job? So that's what we think our role in this sector and within this space is, to really help make that happen. And I'll go through how in a minute around a number of ways.
Next slide, Jo.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that'd be good. So game plan offer. We think we've got a complete pathway for schools, students and staff in this world, and really looking at developing skills for growth. and I'll go through the 5 or 6 different types of offer that we think that we've got within this. And again, I don't want to just talk at you. I mean, I'm quite happy for anybody to undo their mic and come on in and tell me, you know, what's right, what's wrong, what you want, what's missing within this world. So the solutions that we think that we can bring around training, apprenticeships, specialist support that can help really build confidence, capability, and also careers. So from pupils within the schools, and we know that our pupils are doing lots of stuff around leadership, really building some of those skills for employability. If you've got students who want to come into the world of sport and leisure, where do they go next? So sometimes we do, and I think it was Harriet who said, I've just graduated from my sports coaching degree. Harriet, how are you feeling? Do you have those skills to be able to kind of maneuver your way around this world of work? Let me just open your mic for me, Harriet.
So no, I'm really struggling to find work because I specialise in disability sport. So it's really hard. The degree was brilliant, but they don't really signpost how and where you can go next on the journey, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And actually, that's really helped me because that's highlighted. That's what we think and what we hear from our students or our graduates is, look, I've really got some skills here, but I'm struggling to get into the world of work. So we think within this game plan offer, we've got some help there for you, you know, to take you into the next stage. So, right, next slide for me, Jobeth. So we've built 5 interconnected pathways. And some of the wording might change over the next few months, but if I start with the game plan student, so getting our 14+ industry ready, so getting, you know, our Harriet, so Harriet might be a little bit older, but really getting you ready for the sport, physical activity and fitness careers. So where you're talking about disability sport, and again, we know from the stats that disability sport is somewhere that we really need good leaders. We really need, you know, people who know their stuff to make sure that that's high quality for some of our young people. So how do we get you ready, or some of the students that we might be working with, how do we get you ready to step into this world of sport, physical activity and fitness careers? So that's the first one. Second one, game plan assist. And you'll know this because, you know, you've all just told me we're working with coaches. Supporting some of our teaching assistants, but also maybe supporting some of our coaches to deliver high quality physical education programs. We think that some of the PESSPA work, so the PE, school sport and physical activity programs, we're reviewing some of those at the moment to make sure that they're really ready for coaches to say, right, I'm qualified as a coach, but I need to know how to work in the environment of sport, or sorry, of schools. So what is it that I need to learn? So we've changed some of our PESSPA qualifications to ensure that our coaches are really ready to be working within that world. I think there's going to be some changes afoot over the next couple of years within schools and this school offer. And now is the time, I think, to get your coaches really ready to be able to deliver that really super high quality work. So game plan coaches and game plan assist, quite similar. So again, supporting those schools-based coaches and apprentices to deliver those high quality sporting opportunities. So whether you're a teaching assistant or whether you're a coach, how do we teach you and how do we get you to understand that environment that you're working in? There's a big piece around leadership and leaders within our sector. So game plan leaders is looking at how do we upskill the people who are doing the roles like school games organisers or other network leaders or even emerging leaders and senior staff. How do we ensure they've got the skills to do that, almost that influencing, you know, and running those teams and making sure people really understand who they've got to influence and how they're going to do it. You all work in the network, so you understand, you know, you've got school games organisers, you've got coaches, there's coaching companies, there's different people within the school network, we've got active partnerships and so on. How do we, national governing bodies, how do we pull all this together so that actually schools have got an offer that they understand that is high quality and we're getting to the right people within those networks? So that's our leaders. Game plan connect, so connecting clubs with schools. So how do we work with those national governing bodies and ensure that they're ready to work together and do that kind of backward step towards the school and making sure that the pathways for our young people, particularly again around the ones that we've already highlighted, so disability, lower socio-economic group, ethnically diverse groups, how do we ensure that the clubs are ready for some of our young people to kind of head into their situations and their environments? So that's the 5 interconnected pathways, and we're currently working, and I'll give you some examples in a minute. We're working across all of these and learning, not learning as we go, but tweaking and changing and making sure that the offer around this education is really fit for purpose and fitting with where we are currently within the network. So first one, so game plan student. So as I've said, you've just heard me say most of this, but qualifications, we run all of these qualifications out in the industry. So if you look on our website, you'll find some of these on there, or you can come to us and go, listen, Joe, I've got 15 people and I really think I should get them really sorted out in multi-skills or within gym and fitness, or actually understanding a level 3, understanding sport for development. So what is it that I'm trying to do? So we've got a whole host of qualifications that you can pick up off the shelf and you can make work for yourself, or you can just attend a course that we're running. We also run across the country. We've got about, probably nearly 200 apprentices that we work with. So actually doing their level 2 community activator coach apprenticeship standard. So actually on the job, in the foundations or the community companies, and then out there actually doing the work.
And
but
I just wanted to highlight to Joe as well, that is very much, that apprenticeship standard is very much a young person's apprenticeship standard. Back in the day when I was an apprenticeship tutor, most of these people were fresh out of school, 16 years old, 17 years old, working within a school environment, within a local authority, a community trust, a football foundation, or a private coaching provider, and they were young, and this was what they were doing. Sorry, Joe, I've interrupted you.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I love an interruption. So if anybody wants to come and have a come off the mic and talk to me, that's also fine. We think we've got some added value. So we do lots of work around volunteering. In the past we've run stuff around event support and work experience. So actually, how do I manage volunteers at an event, for example, and we can run some qualifications around that, or we can run some CPD for your particular set of people who might be running an event. Career preparation workshops. We've got, as I've said, lots of progression routes across the board. So really from classroom to career, for our young people in sport, activity and fitness. So really preparing young people for the industry. Okay, next one.
Okay, cool. This is the example, right?
Yeah, so just an example. Recently we've run a multi-skills session for young leaders they'd come through the HAF program, so the Holiday Activity Fund program. They've come through that program. They were about 16 or 17, and we ran we ran a day multi-skills award for 19 of them. So Active Essex said, actually, we've got all these kids who've come through this program, and now we want to use them as ambassadors almost to come back and do the coaching. So that's what we did. We did it, when did we do it? It's probably the beginning of the summer. And then they've been running the holiday activity programs, being paid as coaches, but also adding that kind of extra value because they understand the position of those young people. So that's been really good. And we're following the impact. Go on,
and what's good from an active partnership point of view is because they're people that have been on a HAF programme, you are tackling some of those Sport England strategic priorities by moving them through. Essentially, you're tackling people that are from lower socio-economic groups, and you're providing them with a leadership opportunity. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And paid coaching. So that's been a real win-win. We've really enjoyed doing that. Okay, next one for me. So supporting teaching assistants, I won't read all these out. You can see them. Some of them are repeated from slide to slide, but the added value that we are finding that we're doing a lot of in terms of education is really looking at inclusion, looking at the SEND support. We're working quite closely with the Activity Alliance, ensuring that they're their courses are fit for purpose, and that the tutors that are delivered them really understand disability sport and are able to like transfer some of those skills across to the people in their networks. We're running an environment specific SIMSPA CPD session using that SIMSPA standard. So I'll come on to SIMSPA in a minute, but there's lots of stuff here really helping teaching assistants to get better and to be making PE their specialism. So that's the second one.
So this apprenticeship as well. So this is just a generic teaching assistant apprenticeship, but it's delivered by apprenticeship supervisors that have worked in the PE and school sports setting rather than just as a whole. So it's through the lens of you becoming a teaching assistant with a specialism in PE, and the support you can give to people with young people with disabilities, send support, child wellbeing, and a whole holistic approach. So it is literally just a teaching assistant standard with staff that understand PE and school sports, so you can take your teaching assistants to a next level and they can be competent to deliver high quality PE in curriculum and outside of curriculum time, essentially. So and supporting learning and that cross curriculum work. Sorry, Joe, and I also wanted to highlight as well that AFB are going down a bit of a route with this level 5 certificate in primary school physical education specialism, where they want anybody working in a school to have that qualification, whether like strategically and lobbying they get there, but there might be a like watch this space is what I'm trying to say to you, that this level 3 and level 5 PE and school sport kind of qualification might become more prominent. We'll see what people do and how they legislate it. So there you go.
That's the feeling we're getting. So some of this is, you know, based on just our experience within this field for a long time, you know, and I'm getting the feeling that we're going to be going into a different world, I think, in the academic year beginning 26 to 27. So if I was running a coaching company, I'd be looking to get on the front foot around some of this PESSPA work. Okay, next one for me. Great, thank you. So again, just a small kind of, I hate the word case study because it's you know, it's overused, isn't it? But we've worked with Story. Story are they're a provider of alternative provision for young people. So some of the young people have been excluded from school, quite challenging behaviours. So we've been running some work with them, their mentors that work with those young people on how do you use physical activity to really help with some of that challenging behaviour. We've had a huge impact on improved focus, different strategies to use to ensure pupils can self-regulate and manage their own behaviour positively. There's been lots of work using physical education and activity to develop some of the life skills, so those resilience, the confidence, the teamwork skills through those activities. So we've had really big success there, and the mentors that are working with those young people have come back and gone, gosh, I feel really supported in understanding how I can use activity to help my young people. So again, just a kind of case study there to just highlight some of the work that we're doing and have done. Okay, next one for me.
I just wanted to highlight, Joe, as well. Sam said that she really liked the HAF Award for ex-participants. Great example of continuation for those children who have benefited from the programme and a hands-on insight into a career into sport. So she's just highlighted that it's a good case study. So,
what we're trying to do here is kind of demystify, I think, some of the qualifications and some of the pathway in our sector, and just, you know, I've got a number of different roles on this call. Just where do you situate? What is it that you need to do to just be ready, really, to ensure that we are all about high quality? Lots of you either coaches or running coaching programs or running coaches to go and run programs. So again, these are the things that we deliver. And we can do accredited and non-accredited versions of these. Again, apprenticeship standards. So the level 2 community activator coach and the level 4 sports coach apprenticeship. Again, we can run those. We are running lots. Go on.
So the level 4 is a more it's higher. It's I'd suggest it's 18 plus at level 4, but it's a pathway for those those 16-year-olds that I did talk about. That's a potential pathway for them to go in. If they've done the community activating, they might want to go through down the sports development route and do their level 3 sport and community health officer, or it could be that they work in a football foundation or academy and that sports coaches for them essentially. Or they work in the PE school sports setting and they do a lot of coaching. Sorry, Joe, I keep interrupting. So
that's okay, don't worry. And some of you may or may not know, but if you are a big company, you pay into the apprenticeship levy, and what we quite often find is that you don't get your money back from the apprenticeship levy. So actually go and have a dig around and find out, do you pay the apprenticeship levy? And if you do, what benefits are you getting from it? What are you doing with it? Because that's money that's often just sitting there that you can dip into. Added value around coaches, again, lots of work around challenging behaviour, communication, influencing, and then all of the ones that you would expect. So safeguarding, first aid. We've got some behaviour management modules, lots of work around the environment in school. I think I've said that already. So helping develop school-based coaches to really deliver high quality, leading to improved physical literacy, activity, well-being, and this lifelong participation that we're really trying to get to as a country. Okay, next one, please. So West Midlands, we've done lots of work. West Midlands is where we're based. We're in the Birmingham area, Edgbaston area. So we've done lots of work with the West Midlands. So training coaches to deliver high quality out of school hour clubs. And also kind of working with coaches to understand that education environment and how you can link with some of those core subjects. So using storybooks, using vocabulary building and maths-based games. So we've taught our coaches how to link with, if you're running year 1, what's their topic of the week and how do you bring that into your sessions? We've had really good kind of success, particularly with that group. It's back to the same type of group, that socio-economic group who might need a little bit more support in their education journey, and teaching through sport and activity can really help them when they go back into the classroom. So we found much greater engagement from some of those young people who might struggle in the classroom but really worked well outside. So that the workforce, the coaches develop confidence and also a bit of creativity in understanding and blending that academic and physical development. I don't know if any of you've seen, but there's some really good resources around maths and using using all the things that you do within a sporting environment to help young people to be better at maths. So again, this has been really successful in the West Midlands. I was trying to just pepper this with some some real examples so that you could understand where we think we can add to the environment. Go on, Jobeth.
So an example of this, if we delivered a multi-skills or a level 1 coaching, assistant coaching, like the programme is changed slightly because we know that the coaches are delivering in a PE school sports setting, so that when they are doing their delivery and their micro coaching, they're asked to think about when they deliver, well, you do this in a PE, you do this in a school sports setting. How can you get a bit of maths curriculum in? What do you think that you could do there? How can you do a bit of feedback modelling? What things can you do that can support the wider curriculum when you're delivering that, just to get those young people and the coaches thinking that's something that we can offer when we deliver our qualifications. So they don't just get a level 2 coaching qual or a level 1 coaching qual, they're getting a bit of added value around that wider piece of the fact that you're coaching in a school, and you need a bit of you've got to link those things. Sorry, there you go.
Perfect. Right, next one for me. Quite a big one for us. So leaders, we're doing lots of work around strategic leaders, either within the school or also within this network, the sporting sector network. So we run management qualifications at level 3 and at level 5. We also do leadership apprenticeships and also look at our consultancy, or our consultants can help you look at your strategic capabilities. So actually, what's your governance look like? Who have you got on your committee? Who's on your boards? What do we need to do around ensuring that we get some of those principles we've been talking about, within the areas of work that you're in? We're also about to launch our commercial offer. So we don't just run the CMI certificate. We actually now run 13 different modules. So you could, pay for 3 modules, do 3 modules. That gives you a part of the qualification. In a year's time, you might come back and run another 2 or 3 modules, and you can just keep adding to that collection. So we're about to launch our commercial model, but also we have the apprenticeships in the level 3 and the level 5 that we link with the CMI. So again, leading school sport with real confidence. A number of years ago, I worked with school sport partnerships. One of the problems that we faced at the beginning of that, like building that network, was that most of them were PE teachers, and with all the will in the world, they were brilliant PE teachers, and they were really good at making sure that they led physical education, but running £1 million budget was very different to running their school PE curriculum. So we did lots of work around the strategic leaders to get them in a position to be able to run a network and a partnership approach to what they were doing. So that's where we think this fits in. Okay, next one for me, Jobeth. Here's a great example. So South Derbyshire, so they were based within the local authority, and they've worked really hard. The local authorities are all going through, I can't remember what it's called, but they're all kind of looking to see how do they get better value for their money. So they're looking, all of the local authorities across the country are looking at this. The government is making them change their models. So South Derbyshire doesn't really fit within the local authority. It's not a mandatory provision that they have to do. So they've very much looked at how do we become our own entity. So we've worked with South Derbyshire on what that looks like, and then put together recommendations and a report. And the report recommended that they become a CIO, and we're now supporting them to become a CIO, taking the money out of the local authority to help them start. So their offer will be the same to the schools, but it's just a very different piece of governance work that's gone on around that. And we've won, we're successful, it's happening. So that's been a really good piece of work. And I think that sits underneath our leadership work. Okay, next one for me. I am getting close to the end, so you can all have a little chat in a minute. So Game Plan Connect, connecting clubs to schools, building local and building national partnerships. Again, you can see our qualifications and all of the things that we do around that. But we really think we're experts in engaging these different communities and helping break down some of these barriers. So again, if you're sitting there thinking, actually, I've got a group of 20 coaches or 20 people working in the sector, it'd be great if we could get some real good CPD to ensure that they really know how to build those local and national partnerships. So, and we've put Stronger Together schools and clubs in partnership. Jobeth, do you want to add to that one?
Well, essentially, there's a qualification which is, delivered by the awarding body Leadership Skills Foundation, which is a level 3 in sport for development. And essentially, it's 3 modules that really gets you to think about. One is completely on partnerships. So if you work in a school as a coach, how do you build a partnership with a local club? How do you build a partnership with local businesses? And the whole module is essentially about partnerships. There's another module on healthy lifestyles and how do you build partnerships with health agendas, and how do you identify those health agendas to connect the PE together, the clubs together, the health agenda together, and it's a whole thing. And then the top one is about literally running a program which has with multiple stakeholders. So it's either coaches, head teachers, and how you communicate to those, and how you build something and connect something that isn't just a school. It's everybody in the community working together for a shared purpose to get more people active. So this is about this Game Plan Connect is about not people working in silos. It's about giving people skills so that everybody's working together to essentially do what everybody wants to do probably in this world, in this room, is get more people physically active and enjoying sport and physical activity, essentially. So that's just some examples, and we can do that through CPD. We can do that through, there's an apprenticeship, the level 3 community sport and health officer, which they're literally the qualification is mapped to that, and then the CPD we can offer as well. So just putting a bit of meat on the bones on that. Hope that helps.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Next slide for me. I think it talks about Norwich City. Yeah, so we work with the Norwich City Community Sports Foundation. I think we've got it's about 25 to 30 apprentices who are all out in the field working in this area, and our tutors are really helping them, upskilling them around all of the stuff that we've just talked about. So coaches gaining nationally recognised qualifications, enhancing their delivery skills, and then the participants benefiting from higher quality, more engaging, inclusive coaching sessions. So key learning here, apprenticeships provide a really cost-effective, sustainable way to upskill some of your community coaches. And blended learning with actual delivery, where you've got somewhere to go and practice, means that your skills are immediately used. So I'm kind of getting to the end. We have a comprehensive qualification framework. We think I've gone through all of those levels. We go, if you come in at level 1 and work your way through, we think that there's entry points for different things. You can go off a pathway. You might be a coach, and then you might come back, become a teaching assistant. You might then go into the network as, as a leisure officer or project manager. So we think right across our framework, there is somewhere that you might fit or your team might fit, which will make you even stronger and better. So that's it on one slide. We can get the slides sent to you at the end of the session. I'm sure, Lucy, you can PDF these and get them sent out. So basically, that's us. So sport structures, really looking at skills for growth, looking at whole school impact, using quality activity and quality communication, and also looking at career pathways for people wanting to come into the sector or already in the sector. So we think we've got a bit of a revolutionary approach. You can hop in and hop out of all of these modules and all of the things that we've got going, pick what's right for you or your team. And then just very finally, we are rated by Ofsted, and we're rated as good, and we're also a PESSPA enhancing rating. So you can see our little logo down there with its 3 stars on. And we've been doing this a long time. Most of our tutors, we can get rid of the PowerPoint actually now, Jobeth. All of our tutors are from the network. They already work within the school sports system or within the out of school hours system. Yeah, so that's kind of us future-proofing school sport. And I'm going to just go over to you now, really. Just some questions. I've done a bit of a whistle stop around why we think we can help you. Just over to you, really. Did that help anybody within our audience to go, right, okay, yeah, you've just tweaked my interest here on, apprenticeships or different standards? Nick, you've just come on camera, so I'm gonna go to you if that's okay. Was that of interest? Were there things in there you thought, oh, that really, that's something I might explore?
Yeah, no, definitely, Joe. I think it sounds really good, and I think it meets the needs of a lot of the areas we've found working with schools, from building those partnership, bridging that sort of gap between school and community. So yeah, and I like the framework that ultimately it's there depending on which environment and which level you're working at, and much needed. I really like this link to the professional standards with PESSPA as well, and that sort of overarching aim to professionalize our workforce.
Yeah.
I guess my only question is what in terms of costs really, and process for getting things booked in, etc.
Yeah, and we've got costs on our website. We'll put our sports structures email address in at the bottom. Jobeth or Colin, if you can do that, that would be great. Just have a look at our website and then just come and ask us, Nick, because as I've said, we can do some bespoke work. If you've got a particular set of somethings or a gap that you think, oh, it'd be really good, if we put that in, then we're really happy to come and chat to you. So hopefully that's answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be reaching out to you. Thanks, Joe.
Right. Okay. Fab, Nick. So Chris is asking.
Chris has asked, do you see community sport foundations, external PESSPA providers playing a role in school sport moving forward, or do you think the aim is for everything to be brought in-house for schools? Sorry, my mic isn't working to ask the question.
It's a really great question. It's a conversation we've had within the office over the last kind of 3 months. In an ideal world, we would love every teacher to be running really great PE curriculum, and ensuring that it was really high quality. We want them to hang up their stilettos, get into their PE shoes and do a really good lesson. In reality, it's about 50-50 split currently between a PE teacher, sorry, a primary teacher running a session. They might run an hour and the school coach runs the other hour. So, you know, we often get asked this, you know, if who are we to be training coaches to go into curriculum time when actually those teachers have been training for about 4 years? The reality is that is what's happening. And if I think back 10 years to our coaches 10 years ago, they didn't have the skills to work in that environment, but their skills have got better and better and better as time has moved on. So I think there's still going to be, if I'm really honest, I think it will be a bit of a 50-50 approach moving forward. I don't think that they'll be able to bring everything in-house. So that's my honest opinion. So I think there's a place for both.
Chris was saying, oh, is it targeted mainly at primary schools, if that helps to add to the context, which I think is where you were coming from, Joe. It has been like, what's it going to look like in that primary school setting? Because we've just keep discussing, are all these coaches going to be displaced, or is it going to be a case of just moving the deck chairs and they come under something else, or another body, or something, or somebody else? And we're not sure is the answer. We don't know if these coaches are going to be displaced because they've been doing, you know, PE and school sports and lunch clubs and things, or actually it's just moving the deck chairs and that there's the roles are just going to fit somewhere else under somebody else's umbrella organisation that's funded by the Department of Education. I wish I had a crystal ball.
But for that, I mean, for those, most of you will probably know this, but there might be a couple who don't. There's £320 million currently goes into the school sport network through the sports premium money. So most of our coaches are being paid from that sports premium money. So it's not supposed to be allowed, but the reality is that is what's happening in some shape or form. So if you stop that happening, those coaches will just, like you've just said, the deck chairs might move to a different organisation or something else, but it's still going to be the same coaches working within that school system, I think, anyway. Again, if I was running a coaching company, I would be getting on the front foot around my coaches, really understanding that environment, that school environment, and ensuring that I had coaches that had a PESSPA qualification, who could really evidence the impact that they're having working with those teachers. So that's what I would be doing right now.
I would be future-proofing. If I was a coach, I'd be future-proofing. I'd be aligning to AFB, you know, just in case. We don't know what's going to happen. But that pupil premium is shifting to somewhere else. So
sport premium.
Sport premium is shifting, and the impact, it could have zero impact, but I think that it will. But whether it's the two things for me: will coaches get displaced, or is it just the moving of the deck chairs? Is it just like Premier League managers when one leaves and another one just comes in place and they just shuffle up and down? I'm not sure.
We're not trying to open a can of worms here. We're just trying to future-proof, I think, the good work that's going on. So anybody else got a question or want to add to, you know, the discussion? Because I think it is an ongoing discussion. Jim, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think it excellent presentation, good idea, and certainly fits with the discussions we've had recently about what we're looking to achieve long term, and I think that will enable us to get a few more people into the fold along the lines that we want. So look forward to sort of putting that on the agenda for the rest of our ongoing discussion. But yeah, no, excellent from that perspective.
Super. Okay, well, we'll share a PDF of the slides with you, so you can all, you know, utilize it in your own networks or with your own line managers or whoever. Harriet, how was that for you? So you'll be interested. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting to know. I wish it was around when I was a bit younger, to go on to the apprenticeship. To get into sport, especially as a disabled person, I was told I had to go to uni, and find a degree that covers disability sport was not actually there. So yeah, I was just going to ask actually, how, if we are looking at inclusive sport within PE and within primary ed. That's a big passion of mine, because when I was at school, I was told I wasn't allowed to do sport and I wasn't allowed to do PE because I was a health and safety risk. And I hoped that it had moved on, but I went to schools, part of my degree, and children with disabilities are still being denied that opportunity, and they're being denied that like those 2 hours of physical education.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there, Harriet. Is one, we have to be inclusive, you know, and that's something that's definitely taught within the schools. And actually the legality around exclusion is really very clear, that no young person should be excluded from physical education if there is additional needs that need to be met. So actually our teachers have got to really understand what those additional needs might be and what they need to put in place to ensure everybody gets physical activity. So the reality of that is sometimes, like you've said, teachers don't know what to do and how to do it. So we work quite closely with the Activity Alliance, which would be somebody for you to start with, actually. We run their inclusive physical education programme for schools and also for community leaders. So it's definitely worth you having a look at that. It's also worth you looking at the Youth Sport Trust website and looking at top sports ability. There's lots of resources and different ideas that would help you there. And also, if you want to have a conversation with me or Jobeth towards the end of this, we'd be really happy to pick that up with you.
Well, Harriet, I just wanted to add, if I deliver a level 1 assistant coaching or a level 2, I have cards where they deliver for 10 minutes and I watch them, and it, you know, a lot of people are very good coaches, better than me. And then I give them a card and goes, well, what happens if you've got a wheelchair user? What happens if you've got, so what do you need to do? Is this suitable? And they're like, well, I just, you know, I might exclude them. I'm like, you can't exclude them. How are you going to make sure that your session is now inclusive? But you've got to think on your feet, because sometimes you turn up to schools and they haven't given you all the information. How are you thinking on your feet? How are you making sure that your session is inclusive? How have you got the skills? How have you got the tools to think on your feet and make sure that everybody is included? And I include that when I do my level 1 and level 2 tutoring qualifications. I know that the Activity Alliance is, and I cannot believe that we're in 2025 and people are still being excluded in PE. It's horrible. Yeah. Sorry, anyway.
That's all right.
Sam, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, go on, Sam. Oh, you're muted still.
You're mute.
Sorry, I put my hand down and didn't unmic myself. Yeah, thanks for that. It's really interesting. I mean, from an active partnership, myself working with schools, one of the main barriers we face is getting the sort of all stakeholders in school involved, sharing that responsibility. What we're about is trying to develop that whole culture, that system change in the school. And if you don't have that buy-in from SLT and all staff members, it does fall on the head of the PE lead or the person in charge of PESSPA, which you can only make so much progress with that. So that's given me some good ideas that actually I can pass on to schools if they do want to develop their staff. So thank you. Just coming at it from a teaching perspective, I'm formerly a primary school teacher until last year. With regards to external coaching companies, one thing I would say is it's really important, like you say, you understand schools, but you also understand how to manage children and the behaviour considerations that goes with that. We've had some brilliant coaches in my previous school, but actually, excuse me, what they focused on really was the sort of high-end gifted and talented children, and actually that left some people behind. So it's really important that coaches do understand that school environment and understand that it's teaching. It's not just coaching the sport. So that would be one little bit of advice from me.
Yeah, so Sam, you've said what I can't say, really, because I think that's where, you know, we've all seen I'm going to say it, you know what, I'm going to say it. We've all seen our great football coaches coming in their lovely blue tracksuit bottoms and white top, 20s, focusing on the 7 or 8 who already play football and are already in clubs. And actually our coaches have got to be really, really good at the rest, you know, the 7 or 8 who aren't physically literate, you know, and then the other 7 and 8 who would really benefit from a little bit more detail and coaching and breaking down the physicality of what they're doing. So I think you're right, we've got great coaches at the top end, but our coaches in that environment have got to be able to work with challenging behaviour. The kids who need it the most are the kids who can't kick the ball. So yeah.
And I think we've got a bit of a paradox. The reason that people get into sport and sports coaching, and a lot of the time it's because people are good, and you've got a lot of people that have been very good at sport teaching people that teaching young people that potentially are disengaged and are not good, and they're not people like them essentially. And that's what, when you have a coaching qualification, you've got to I have to instill to people that you're not coaching Burnley under 15s. You're coaching a very mixed, and you've got 30 people in a class, you've got mixed ability, and you've got to make an impact and meet the needs of all of those people. But also, Sam, what you said is a big debate that we have. There's electrical Nick O'Leary, who was at University of Wolverhampton, and it was the debate about teaching, a curriculum and coaching, and the difference. And you never come, and they are different, but they've got similarities and overlaps. But coaches do, I've seen it millions of times, people come in, and so I'm just agreeing with you and sharing my opinion, basically. Anyway, anybody else?
Can I just say something to Harriet as well? Harriet, when I first started teaching with the school games back in 2012 was all about competition, and it was all about winning, and generally you found it was the same children all the time that attended all these events. And my school was fairly successful at that, but I'm really proud that over the 11 years I was there, we lost more and more competitions. We didn't win, and that was because we weren't inclusive. So we taught, and on our curriculum still, I believe, is bocce, is archery. So schools have embraced it, and you will find schools that fully do understand the inclusivity aspect of it. So I'm sorry that there's some schools that don't, but it is, that is the expectation. The DFE expectation is you cater for everyone. So hopefully that will change.
Yeah, and the good thing there about the school games is that's really changed, I think, in the last 12 years to ensure that there's positive experiences for all young people, and that now as a school, actually quite a lot of the school games organisers have different levels for the kids that you need to take. So you need to be bringing those that haven't had an out of school experience this year. We're going to give them a great experience using physical activity, to learn all those things we know they learn. So that has got better and better and better. That school games network, Harriet, again, go back to the Youth Sport Trust website and have a look on there, because you'll see lots and lots of things that are going on. That's great. Thanks, Sam. Something in the chat. We have a coach. So Lauren, we have a coach we employed in September. She's off for 2 weeks in India with the English blind football team. So there are companies and schools who will support you. It's just finding the right ones. Yeah. And that again, that's where we're trying to situate our offer. We've got lots of lovely stuff. We've got brilliant tutors that can help around all of the stuff that we're talking about. So just come and talk to us and see if we can support and help you in any way.
And then do you know where I could find qualifications training to formalise the behaviour class management element of PESSPA, basically? So
okay, that's is that from Chris again? Yeah. So Chris, we probably need to have a conversation with you around what you're looking for and what you need us to help you with, and then we can have a dig around and find that for you. Sam's typing, that's good. Anyone else got any other questions or observations? Doesn't even need to be a question. I'm trying to see who else I've got.
No, just off the back of the previous point, Joe, I think, with the school games it's now become more aligned to, say, active partnership priorities and Sport England priorities of engaging those inactives. As we say, it was previously a competitive school programme, so naturally. So I think it has got a lot better. And just reflecting a couple of the other points made, I think that's the thing. You do get some amazing coaches going in and supporting, but it's that, as you rightly said, with the framework, that need to understand the environment you're working in. And, I always talk about this. If coaches have got that knowledge and experience of PE and school sport delivery, they're going to be better coaches in the community, because, in the community you're working with in a sports club, 10 kids that come that choose to go to that football club every week. You know, as you all know, when you're going into a class of 30 kids, you've probably got, you know, five or six that want to do it. You got 10 that don't want to do it, and then the rest that are not as bothered. So it's about engaging all of them in that inclusive practice.
Totally agree, Nick, because you have you learn your craft. A lot of coaches do in schools, and you've got to meet the needs of 30 people. And then you go into the community, it makes you a better coach, because you've still got children that are disengaged, that have been dropped off by the kids. And even at performance sport, you know, I used to work at Walsall Football Club at the academy. You've got talented kids that have also got disabilities. They need support. So all of that leads through the pathway just from school sport, essentially. So anyway, cool.
Great. Any more for any more? I'm looking at the time, so we've done quite well. We've got to 5 to 1. Happy to stay for a few minutes if anybody wants to pick up with Jobeth or I, or even some of our other staff who I forgot to introduce at the beginning. Sorry, guys. But we've got somebody from apprenticeships, we've got our comms department, we've got our tech department. So if anybody wants to talk to any of us from Sport Structures, I was trying not to make this an advert. I think you can probably see we're very passionate about this space and this place, and we've got the opportunity to really help support you to make you even better. So that's just, you know, that's really what this is about: future-proofing school sport, your offer, and ensuring that we stay in the game. You know, you guys stay in the game. So fab. Please feel free to go. You've got a couple of minutes back off your day, which I know is always welcome. But we'll be here for a few more minutes if anybody else wants to talk to us. It's been great. Lucy will follow up with you with the presentation, and we'll follow up with anybody else. Can we just make sure we put our Jobeth, either your or my email?
I'm putting both of ours again, so don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all. Really good to meet you, and hopefully we'll see you over the next few months.
Joe, if you've got a couple of minutes, we could just have a quick catch up, please.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Right. So we've got, okay, we can probably stop recording, Lucy. I'm not sure if
I'll stop it.
Okay.
I'll stop recording. Hold on. Hold on. More recording. Stop recording. Stop.